Hi everyone, this is Jyotsna Hegde with NRI Pulse. Today we have with us Mr. Dilip Tunki, who is running for Johns Creek City Council, Post 1. Hi Mr. Tunki, it's great to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Jyotsna, and thank you, NRI Pulse, for giving this platform to talk about ourselves. Appreciate that.
Sure.
So,
you are the COO, the CFO at Serenity Infotech. And you've been in the management role for over 23 years now, and you're also a real estate investor. So please talk to us about your journey and why you chose to run for council.
So about myself, just after my bachelor's in civil engineering, I worked in a couple of years in India. Then I moved here in 1991 to pursue the master's degree in environmental engineering. So I graduated in 1993 with an environmental engineering degree. From 93 to 98, I worked in Louisiana, Texas, in Houston area for almost through 98, working more on soil treatment, air pollution equipment design, wastewater treatment plant, and landfills. And 98 is when I moved into the small business area, into more on management role. I moved to Florida back in 98. In 2000, we decided to move our head office to Atlanta. That's when I moved to Johns Creek. It wasn't Johns Creek at that point, 2000. The city became in 2006. So I've been a resident of Johns Creek from 2000. While I was in Johns Creek, I went back to school again to Georgia State University and got my MBA in finance. So that's more on my career side. Business, as I mentioned, like 98 on, I've been a small business owner, more and primary focus on information technology. But apart from that, I ventured into multiple businesses like the retail side, real estate. And so for most part, I can say I'm a successful businessman. I've been in that arena for 23 years. Apart from my business and personal, I am a nature lover. I do a lot of hikes. I did the Mount Elbert in Colorado and the Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, the tallest mountain.
Wow.
I hiked that.
That's amazing.
And then we did 2 years back, we did the Mount Everest base camp. So, and the Grand Canyon.
That's amazing.
So I'm more into the nature, and I do run half marathons. So that's more on my side on the professional and personal level.
So why did you choose to run for council, Mr. Tunki?
Okay, so I'm going to take that as two parts, Jyotsna, like my community involvement. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about what I've been doing for the last so many years. So my community involvement started with serving as an executive board member for an organization called the Shelter of Law.
Okay.
What we do is we support domestic violence victims as they transition from the tough phase into the real world and getting onto their feet, and also educate the community and bring the awareness. Okay. After that, I started on a school board, Johns Creek Chattahoochee High School, when my daughter was in high school. So I served as a governance council member in there. In that period, I worked with the Fulton County School Board and got a greenhouse, the commercial grade greenhouse. It's a huge one. So they're using that for more training the students more onto the botany, zoology, and also they're working with the technology universities to partner on the technical education point of view. So that was a great accomplishment of getting a huge greenhouse. I have never done that in Fulton County before. So after that, I went back and went through the Citizens Fire Academy, Citizens Police Academy, and Leadership Johns Creek. These are the programs that the city offers. Most of the residents doesn't know that, but once we go through those programs, we'll get to see the other side of the coin. We always look at from this side and say, like the police officers or the firemen, like we look at from this side, but once you go through those programs, you look at the other side and say, we really start appreciating the kind of work they do, what they walk into every day, in and out. So that's a good one. Like if people have the time, they should go back and do those programs. So recently, the last few years, my focus was more on Johns Creek centric organizations and committees. I serve on a town center advisory committee, which is Johns Creek is planning to get a town center like the downtown in Johns Creek. So I serve on that board. I was involved in conceptualizing the idea to what elements goes into the town center and the design aspects. So I was involved in that. And I serve as an executive board member on Recreation Parks Advisory Committee. That's Johns Creek. So what we do is we provide the input to the city council members on the activities that happen in the parks and the recreation point of view. So we do that from the Recreation Parks and Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Apart from that, I also serve on Johns Creek Arts Center because Johns Creek Arts is really, really huge in there. I'm an executive board member and a treasurer on the Johns Creek Arts Center.
Sure.
So arts is the one that brings all the community together. So we cater to the diverse community in Johns
It
Creek.
transcends boundaries, right? So
There you go. And apart from that, I also serve on as an executive board member for Artery Mill Nature Preserve. It's a park up on Johns Creek. It's it has an historical aspect to that, and it's an amazing park. Other than that, I serve as an executive board member for Johns Creek Cricket Association. Cricket, that's a growing sport in the US.
Yes.
And city has done a lot in that aspect. Like they put in batting cages, 2 cricket pitches. They're building a big one in the coming park. So that's more on the city centric. Other than that, I mentor 3 to 4 small business owners every week through SCORE, an affiliate of Small Business Administration, SBA. In that process, we mentor clients and we help them out to be successful. So that's more on my community involvement. So now you're asking me like why am I running for the Johns Creek City Council? So this flows into what I'm doing in there just now. So I'm a successful businessman. I've been happily married for 25 years and have a beautiful family. And I've been serving the community. So serving the community came into my mind when I started thinking through, seeing that I got so much from this country, excellent education, experience, successful business. Now this is a time that I need to give it back. The knowledge and everything that I gained over the time, rather than just keeping it. It's more for my self-satisfaction, or you could say. So I started volunteering on all these non-profit organizations, even that small business. Some of the comments that I get from the small business owners, like, this mentor really cares for my success. And one of the comments was like, the things that I could not get done in 6 months, I was able to do it in a few days through the mentoring session. So some of those comments gives me those satisfaction that, hey, I'm not just keeping the knowledge and the information that I gained over the last so many years to myself. So that flows into why I'm running for the city council. So if I could use my education experience and the knowledge I gained over the last 3 decades to give it back to the community, and if I can use it to the betterment of the community and to the progress, even the smallest percentage that I can contribute, I feel very happy for that. So I'm not a politician. I'm just more focused on my satisfaction of, okay, how I can share my knowledge, experience in the process. So that is the main reason I'm running for the Johns Creek City Council.
Well, we're glad you're running, Mr. Tunki. I'm sure you have a lot to offer. So what are your priorities, maybe your short and long-term priorities for the city of Johns Creek?
Okay, so I'll combine everything into one answer just now. Because for city of Johns Creek, the quality of life, that is the key factor for the people who move into Johns Creek and that reason. So when I say quality of life, the town center that I'm working on, it's overall 20-year plan. So when you say long and short, 20 years is a short, long period. Okay. So I'm going to focus on the short term in my term. Right. The initial framework matters. Okay. There's a city-owned land in the Johns Creek. The overall, the town center is about almost 197 acres. So, and it spans over a 20-year plan. So the initial focus should be building a good framework that we could use to build on that. So short term, I would focus on the next 4 years and city-owned land and put something from the city's point of view. That would attract the other private investors to come back and focus on that. Next is like the parks. So we do have excellent parks, and the one that's going to be building up is almost 192 acres for Collie Creek. It's the biggest one. That's what I was talking about, the cricket pitch coming into that. So even with those parks, we are still not there for the national average. So we need to add more green space into that one. So I'm going to look into the other aspects, how we can get onto that. The biggest thing that's been going around is the stormwater. I know that we took over the city formation was 2006, so there were a few things that was transitioned to us from the Fulton County.
True.
So the current council already put a framework. They already put the tracks on that. So we just need to work on making sure that it's going to be done faster. It's a long-term process. So I'm already working on looking at few grants. There's a grant that I'm already explored and I already shared the information with the city staff. Okay, that is about, just from that one grant itself, we can get $400,000 every year. So if we could, there are more grants like that that we can explore and use it. So I'll do my best because my background is in environmental engineering. So I understand the complexity of stormwater, what it is and how it impacts. So supplemental funding is what I'm going to work on to expedite the process and get the things moving faster. So now coming back onto the arts, like as I mentioned before, we cater to the North Fulton area, providing the arts education and to like a diverse community. So it's like there's a huge importance of arts in there. That is a part we are working on to add the legacy center into the part of town center. So there's a huge demand for arts in the Johns Creek area. So the last aspect is going to be the public safety. There's a reason most of our residents in Johns Creek moved to Johns Creek is safety. We have an amazing officers, and the thing that we need to work on is add more strength to that and give them the support that they need to provide what they're providing. More like if they need advanced the training or the tools to provide the service that they're providing. So I'm with them on that. So we need to focus on the public safety, which is a key component for the city of Johns Creek. So that's more on the quality of life. So coming back onto the business, being a small business owner and mentoring the small business owners for so many of them, I understand the difficulties they're going through and what they expect from the city. So I'm going to work with the city staff on streamlining the registration, the occupancy licensing, and the compliance part. So, and we will create a central repository where we can provide all the information that the businesses need. So, the more importantly, a lot of shopping centers in Johns Creek are struggling. If you look at the bigger ones. So, I have a plan to work with the property owners and stimulate them, add them like a destination places. So more like increase the foot traffic. So right now, once we make that one, it gives the whole family a reason to come back in there. Okay. And like the shops, okay, and the restaurants and the place for the kids. So making a destination place is like it's going to drive more traffic to the businesses and that helps them. But one of the main reasons most of the businesses were complaining was employee turnover. The biggest reason for that is there's only less than 10% of the people who live and work in Johns Creek. So what is happening is that if the employees find a better opportunity close by to their home, they're quitting. So I'll work on a plan where people can work and live within Johns Creek. That would help in both ways for the businesses and also for the restaurants. So from the business point of view, I have the experience and expertise to see what can help them to succeed. So the last initiative that I'm going to be working on is environmentally friendly city. So the focus, the solar panels. I already did that for my office recently. I know the process, what it takes. It's a bit longer process, but we are working on to streamline that. So we can incorporate those in the town center, the parks that we already have, and we can, even the parking lots, we can install some of those charging stations. So we can work on that. And the buildings, we can get them environmental friendly buildings. And in the parks, we can work on rainwater harvesting. There are a lot of areas that we can go back and capitalize that can protect the environment and make the Johns Creek as an environmental friendly city. So that's one. Being my background in environmental engineering, I have more attachment and passion towards that.
Sure, sure. So what's your favorite part about being in Johns Creek?
Okay, so like I said, I'm more into the area even before it was Johns Creek. So the reason being like the safety and the schools. The schools are the best. So one of the best schools in there.
Absolutely.
And the safety. And we have like the parks and the trails that we could just go out. Johns Creek is like a family. So it's like, you can ask me like, why I've been there for 20 years, why I'm not moving out. Those are the reasons. Moving in, I've already been there when the city is formed. But the reason is like, it's like a family and safety and the best schools.
Of course. So what do you think are some of the major challenges that the city is facing right now, and how would you address them?
Okay, the major challenge is like Johns Creek. Right now, we are the best city, safest city, richest city. We have all those things. So we need to protect those things and prepare for the future. So we need to give the millennials a reason to come back. Right now, we have the best schools. We are getting the students out and they're all going to the best colleges. After graduation, they're not coming back. They're not making Johns Creek as their home. They are picking like a Buckhead or like more active cities in there. So we need to give them a reason to come back in there. So the town center would be one good one, and the parks, adding the more green space. So once we do some of those things, like we need to give the youth a reason to come back in there.
Johns Creek, has a very diverse population, right? So how do you sort of, look at diversity and how it has contributed to Johns Creek?
It's a good question. Johns Creek City is already working on that. We have an international festival on October 23rd. So they're expecting about 19,000 residents to attend that. That already shows that there is a diverse community and city is already taking the initiatives to get everyone involved. Apart from that, as I mentioned, I sit on the Johns Creek Arts Center, executive board member. Mm-hmm. In the last 2 years, we have done so many programs. We celebrated Diwali. Oh. We celebrated Chinese New Year.
Oh, I did not know.
Celebrated Eid al-Fitr. So we have done all this, like getting all the communities. So we're already taking all the initiatives. So we just need to go back, and even ourselves, we need to go back and get involved. So it's already happening, just that we need to keep pushing that and make it happen. And the example is like, I sit on like 5 boards. So the example of the diversity is like, so I want more people to come forward and engage yourself into the community. It's there, they have the open arms. We just need to go back and get involved.
So, as someone who's running for council, Mr. Tunki, we have this huge debate going on. I mean, this is going on throughout the country, but in Johns Creek in particular, what do you think about the mask mandates and vaccination mandates, especially, in schools, because the kids are being affected. Georgia is the fourth largest, state to have kids in hospitals now. So, what are your thoughts about that?
Okay, that's a good question, Jyotsna. It's a thing that's going on around. So as soon as the vaccine came out, I took the vaccination because I lost two of my family members last year before the vaccine came out. So I know how deadly this one is. So taking the vaccination, if you haven't taken the vaccine, please go out and take the vaccination. That helps you and also the people around you. Rather than mandating the vaccination, I would say educate the people. Go back and reach out to them and say, okay, here is what it is. It's going to help you and the neighbors around you, your family members. Okay. So once people get to know the details of that one, they would do that one. What happens, like the side effects and those things, nobody knows. Even I'm not a medical professional, I'm not an expert in that. But now it's protecting yourself and the people around you. So go for that one. So as an adult. So that's what I would say.
Sure. So finally, why should the people of Johns Creek vote for you?
That's a tough question. So I have the education, experience, knowledge, leadership skills, and the community-based information. I serve on various community so that I can fulfill the role and responsibilities of a council member and make an informed decisions that would help the city. So it's a two-pronged approach. One is like Johns Creek. This is a character for the Johns Creek. We need to preserve the character, the safety, best schools. Okay? We need to preserve the character of the Johns Creek now and also work towards preparing for the future. So when I say that one, like the town centers and the green space, okay, so we need to give our kids a reason to come back to city. So we need to do it both, like preserve the Johns Creek, the character, and then prepare Johns Creek for the future, for the people to come back. So I have the experience and the knowledge and the understanding to do those things.
Sure. All the best, Mr. Tunki. Thank you for talking to NRI Pulse.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you for the time, and NRI Pulse appreciate the platform you provided. Thank you.